about this one.
And even
Okay.
that lamp over there.
Yeah, that's a concretion, take it, I got it.
The lamp.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Probably
That better?
whatever was settled on each
Roll good?
other.
Roll good, we can all see?
That's interesting.
Let me move this a little further. That way everybody can see. All right,
I need this.
so I would be remiss if I didn't start with a joke.
Okay.
So it's a Labrador, right?
So
Sure.
He's on my right, which means he's on the right of the screen. So that's, what, a three-way pun right there?
Right.
Right, all right. So, good start. Does everybody know what Labradorite is? Has everybody seen Labradorite?
Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can we get rid of this Christmas tree?
Yeah,
So I
it's
can
blocking.
see you talk?
You can put it like over here, not in the chair.
I think I'm gonna just slide it this way, that way it'll be easier for me to get back to where it was. All right, that's good?
Yeah.
Good?
that's
No more moving? No more moving stuff around? All right, everybody sure?
And maybe a little bit to the right.
Oh no,
Could you get a little taller?
now we ruined the whole thing.
Uh-oh, no signal. Wasn't that what happens when you say, oh, just a little bit more to the right? Oh.
All right, we're back in business, all right. See, you messed me up there. Messed me up, just enough. I get it, it was revenge for Monday.
There we go.
I got it, all right. So we're good now, we're good? We're all clear? All right.
Good.
Cool. So, for those of us who are absolute science geeks, I stole this from geology.com. So it's their official just chart on Labradorite. So it's usually clear, white, or gray. It's got that reflected Labradorescence. We'll get into that detail later. It streaks white. Does everybody know what that means? Everybody knows what a streak is? That's not when you go running through the baseball game.
Go ahead and tell
You
me.
better tell us, Ron.
So,
Emily can tell us.
ooh, do you want to tell us what a streak is?
She gave a report on it.
I did.
Yeah, she did.
So a streak is when you like take a specific specimen and you like scratch it on a black tile and a white tile, and the color that comes up is streak color.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you. All right, so streak is white. So it's got a vitreous pearly luster only on its cleavage faces. It's very rare to actually have a crystal face because it's a massive type specimen. So it goes transparent to translucent, which means you can see through it at least partially, sometimes all the way through. There are some people who say that if you could see all the way through it, it becomes moonstone. That's wrong. Okay, hardness. It's a 6 to a 6.5, so it is softer than quartz. So it is considered on the softer side of the spectrum. So you need to care for it differently than you do your other harder materials. Specific gravity, 2.68 to 2.72. We don't have to get into the specifics of how gravity affects it, but it's all done with water. All right, diagnostic properties. If you want to tell that it's Labradorite, first check for labradorescence. Not all pieces have labradorescence, but if it does have labradorescence, you know it's Labradorite. Period, end of story. If it doesn't have labradorescence, that's when you go to hardness, cleavage, streak, and all of that stuff. If you can ever get a thin enough slice to get an extinction angle, it's 38 degrees, but nobody cares. No one knows what extinction angles are anymore. That's the chemical composition for anyone who really wants to delve into chemicals. You get between 30 to 50% in sodium and 70 to 50% in calcium, and that's going to tell you which color it goes. The more sodium, the more towards the yellow spectrum it goes, and the more calcium, the more towards the blue spectrum it goes. So, crystal system is triclinic. Does everyone know what triclinic system is? No? Not a
There's a
single?
platform, like the front and back are the same, but the sides are like triple platform.
Very, very close.
Yes.
Very close. I think you're on the right track. So
Yeah.
triclinic system is also known as the rhombic system. So that means that yes, you've got those two parallels, but everything else, it'll have three angles, so tri,
Lunges. Yeah.
So 3 angles. The other one that has 3 angles is cubic. So the cubic system, so it's like a cube, but all 3 angles that it has are different instead of being the same. Okay, let's get into the origin. So Labradorite is a feldspar mineral. It is a plagioclase feldspar, for those of you who need specifics. As we know, our feldspars are igneous. Most of the time, they're also found in your metamorphic deposits. Now, as with all gems, Labradorite is believed to have formed during the creation of Earth. We know better, don't we? As mineralogists, we know that it could happen anytime we have volcanic activity. But the AI who designed this presentation, because of course I didn't, believes that it had to have been during the creation of the Earth. But they do cool and crystallize into beautiful stones, so at least it got that right. So, the brilliant flash is light being refracted through and then reflected back through several layers of feldspar. The AI got that right. I love doing things through AI, it's great. And Labradorite is so iconic that the light refraction is actually known as labradorescence. The Labradorite is where we get the word labradorescence, which is also applied to minerals like moonstone and sunstone. We'll get into that relationship in just a few minutes. Well, no, actually, at the end. So, the type of refraction that we're talking about is Bragg refraction. Bragg refraction. Let me slow down. So, that glimmer on the labradorite that you see, you're going to have planes, parallel planes through the rhombic nature of the labradorite. And the light is going to go through, and each one of those planes is going to filter out some of the light. Some of the wavelengths are going to just disappear. They're going to get taken out through the filtration process. Then it's going to hit the other end of that crystal structure. And instead of going through any further, it'll hit a reflection point, which is basically the start of the next crystal structure. So it goes through, gets filtered through, and whatever's left is going to get reflected back. And that is the color you see.
It like
So,
bounces off of.
It's going to bounce off basically the next crystal. But it's going to go back through those same filters. So depending on what angle you're looking at, it may change which filters it's going through. So it's going to go through one set of filters on the way in, and it might be the same set of filters on the way out, but it might be a different set of filters. That's why when you look through the labradorite, you don't always see that color play. So that's when it's hitting, and all of the colors are getting filtered out, as opposed to just some of them. So the fewer filtration levels that you go through, the more brilliant the color ends up. And it's a result of a unique rainbow-like play of color, again known as labradorescence. I just love the term, labradorescence. I could just say that over and over and over again.
Sounds pretty.
It does, it does.
Well, and the rainbow, of course, would be the prism, you know, the colors that you see. So
Yep.
very pretty.
So, labradorite is absolutely legendary. So let me tell you guys a story. So there's an Inuit warrior. He goes out on the icy plains up in northern Canada, and he goes and he sees the northern lights. And those northern lights come down and they get absorbed into a stone. And he watches this happen, and he sees it, and he goes, the northern lights, that's how I tell which way I'm going. That's how I tell which direction the elk have gone, which direction the geese have gone, which direction the moose will go. I have to put this back. So he goes over to the stone and he hammers on it day after day after day, finally releasing the northern lights back into the world. But some of those lights stayed in the stone. And that stone is our labradorite.
Cool.
And that's the Inuit legend for labradorite. Yeah, my source is over there, but I told it a little bit more dramatic.
Much better.
Okay, so where can you find labradorite? Of course, labradorite is named We have Labradorescens named for Labradorite, and Labradorite is named for Labrador. Specifically, Labrador, Canada, not the puppy that I showed in the beginning. Okay, so Labrador is actually an area of Canada. You'll see it in the red, and it was discovered exactly in 1770. It was actually January of 1770. It was named after that location. So since then, deposits have been found all over the world. You've got some in Finland. You've even got some in Oregon. Don't buy the ones from Oregon. They're horrible. Just horrible. But you'll see some from Madagascar, some from Russia, and in Finland, it was actually named spectrolite. Spectrolite being the same as the old term for glasses. You know, bring me my spectacles. It's that same term. So it's all about what you see. Everyone sees this rainbow play, and that's how everyone comes together on it, and we can keep our Labradorite. Oh, that's right. That's why Oregon has such horrible Labradorite. Too much copper. See, someone laughed. Someone gets it. Someone gets my jokes. All right. So, Labradorite in jewelry and decor. Labradorite is one of the most, like, if you think about jewelry, if you think about something you want on a shelf, something that you want next to your books, what do you want? You want the most colorful thing you can find, right? And what's more colorful than something with a rainbow on it? Literally rainbows. You've got it in reds, you've got it in blues, you've got it in greens. So that rainbow play makes it the prime choice for jewelry, for display pieces. They use it in countertops.
Wow.
That must look cool.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. Amazing to get Labradorite countertops. You could get Labradorite facades on houses.
It is.
There are houses in, where was it? Ukraine. There are houses in Ukraine, specifically in the ritzy areas that probably are gone now. But
Where Serge lived.
the entire front facade of the house was Labradorite, just bricks and bricks of Labradorite. And when the sun hits it at the right angle in midday, it's just absolutely brilliance. Absolutely blinding brilliance. So can you imagine if we had those houses here? I mean, I've seen Pennsylvania bluestone, which is pink for some reason, but Labradorite, it's the front of your house. I want to replace the entire front of my house with Labradorite. What do you think, kiddo? You gonna do that? Replace the house with Labradorite? Maybe?
You might lose it.
Might lose it, might lose it. That's a
Where did
good
the guy
point.
in Ukraine get all the Labradorite?
Well, there's a bunch of Labradorite found in Russia, and it's right next door, so I'm sure they could port it right over. Or there might be a spot in Ukraine as well, because a lot of the geologic elements from Russia port into Ukraine. A lot of the seams go all the way through. It's the same geologic area. Okay, let's get into some of the mysticism. So Labradorite has a long history of mysticism and the supernatural. And I told that Inuit story. That's not the only one. There's stories of Labradorite from all over the world. And everyone has it in their stories, in their legends. Most often, it's said to bring good luck and protection and help the wearer connect to the higher self and spiritual realms. So it's in connection to a lot of the associated things that we think of, like chakras. The more colors are in a stone, the more chakras it can affect. Or that's one of the thought processes. The healing properties, continuing on the same idea, it's said to strengthen and stimulate psychic abilities. So everything from that crown chakra, the gold play on the edge of any of the rainbows of the Labradorite is said to connect directly to the mind. And so those other colors allow you access to other pieces of the individual through that gold level of play. It strengthens and protects our aura. Again, connected all the colors. Everyone sees colored auras. They associate that with the colors in the Labradorite. So it balances and clears the chakras through all of that color. Teaches us to use mystical power wisely and well. So the more information you have, so the more colors you draw from, more information you have, the wiser you're going to be. So, when you're down, when you're anxious, when you're feeling drained, grab a Labradorite. It'll bring you up. So raise your energy levels, get everything up there, and get you on a more positive bed. So, caring for Labradorite. Here's where we get into the fact that it's a 6 to a 6.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. It's not as tough as your quartzes, your agates, your jaspers. You need to care for it. You need to wrap it. So if it's not on display, you want it in a soft felt bag, or in a nice soft box. Mine, when I cart around Labradorite, I always have it wrapped in bubble wrap, in the basically tissue paper, but made of styrofoam. There's those things, the packing styrofoams. So always have it in that if it's not on display. Of course, on display, there's nothing touching it except on the bottom, so you're good to go. So it's best to avoid harsh chemicals. Don't put it in direct sunlight unless you're charging it, because extreme heat will cause it to crack. So want to store it in a soft pouch or box. Also, you don't want to soak it in water. So that's one of the important things, because water will fluctuate the temperature. If you're going to clean your Labradorites, mineral oil. Mineral oil goes a long way with Labradorites, and once you hit them with that mineral oil, the colors become even more brilliant. It's amazing what a little bit of oil will do on a Labradorite. Okay, a couple of different pieces, just in case anyone missed seeing real pieces of Labradorite. We've got your blue Labradorite, your yellow Labradorite, your red, green, purple. So it comes literally in every color, including all colors at once. You really can't beat the color play on Labradorite. It's one of the only minerals where you're going to see that color play on the external surface. So while everything is refracting through, the color play itself looks like it's on the surface. I know everyone goes, oh, diamonds, yeah, but that's an internal structure. It's a totally different thing. It actually looks like it's appearing from the inside. With this, the whole surface just sheens, goes all the way across. All right, we're testing me now.
Well, I think that's what it is. I found it about 6 months ago at St. Luke's gift shop.
Not Labradorite.
Now, what is it?
It looks, I mean, I hate to say it, but it looks like a heat-treated quartz. So they'll put this through a process, and that color that you see on it is actually an effect of the heat treatment.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a gemologist, so don't take me purely at my word. Do some research, but I can tell you right off the bat, it does not have the rainbow play. It has the rainbow reflection. So what I'm seeing is definitely not a Bragg refractive property.
I still like it.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But you asked me if it was Labradorite.
I know. Well, that's actually what was on the label. So,
I understand.
It's nothing to brag about.
Oh, I like that one.
Okay, you get a gold star.
You do, and please do keep coming back, because I love people that I can play off of like that. That was perfect. I love it. All right, so I said we were coming back to other minerals. So let's climb the family tree for a minute. So there are several other stones that are related to Labradorite, which of course was pointed out to me by someone I'm related to, that I have to admit. I wasn't going to bring this up, but the professor said, you have to mention moonstone and sunstone. So I'm going to mention moonstone and sunstone. So yes, they're all feldspars. Yes, they're all found in the same location. So anywhere that you find Labradorite, you're going to find moonstone, you're going to find sunstone. It's just a matter of how much the other chemicals play in. So if there's copper, you're going to have sunstone. If there's any sort of sulfur intrusion or any sort of titanium intrusion, you're gonna have moonstone. So they often share some visual and physical properties. So let's take a look. So moonstone, you've got the shimmering, you've got the rainbow play sometimes. It's more often a white sheen. And the white sheen will play across the surface the way that the rainbow does in Labradorite. The main difference between moonstone and Labradorite is that Labradorite is a plagioclase feldspar and moonstone is an orthoclase feldspar, so the crystal structures are completely different. They are not the same mineral. So if anyone tells you, oh, moonstone is just clear Labradorite, no, they're wrong. Okay, they're just wrong, not true. I don't care how many people say it.
How do you really
Yeah.
feel about it?
You okay?
Usually with my hands, I like to pick them up and touch them. That's, all right. So, sunstone. Sunstone, very much the same story. Once you get down to the chemical composition though, sunstone has an amazing amount of copper. And it actually gets its light play from the flecks of copper through the mineral, not from Bragg refraction. So Labradorite always has the Bragg refraction. It always looks like a play of color over the top. The shine in sunstone is from metallic flecks. There's no metallic flecks in Labradorite. So when people go, oh, sunstone, it's just red or orange or yellow Labradorite. No, it's not. It's not. It's a completely different chemical composition, and they get their physical properties for completely different reasons. I don't care what people are telling you, they're wrong. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay then. So an orthosite. An orthosite is Labradorite. It is. It just is Labradorite. But it's Labradorite backed by quartz. So this is the stuff that they use to make countertops, that they use to make the facades on houses. So when you see Labradorite and you see it's got a 7 hardness on the back, and you're like, wait a second, it's a 6 hardness on the front, a 7 hardness on the back. What is it? Well, it's anthracite, anorthosite. Gotta get anorthosite. It's 4 syllables, anorthosite. So it's that same feldspar, it's got that same Bragg refraction on the front, but as soon as you get to the back end, you're like, wait a minute, this is white, or this is black, or this is any of a myriad of other colors because it's basically jasper. Could be dark gray, it could be, but it's always found with the Labradorite, it's always found with the sunstone, it's always found with the moonstone, but it's on the back of everything else. So it has that hardness, so they use it for structural elements in construction. So you can actually go through and find, there are cements that are made with an orthosite. So you could go through in some areas, and the ground that you're walking on or that you're driving on literally looks like it has labradorescence. And you're like, wait a second, ground can't have, cement can't have labradorescence. Yes, it can.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
If they use an orthosite.
Mhm.
So that's where that comes from. It actually is Labradorite. Interesting little tidbit.
I didn't remember where I saw that.
So,
That's not even considered.
as we all now know,
Just recently.
Labradorite is basically the magic stone. It's your power stone. You can't get better. You just can't. That's why I started off with it. I figured this is a great place to start. There's rainbows, there's structure, there's legends from here to eternity. But just take care of it. Take care of it. Mineral oil, not water. Yeah.
Would opal be similar to Labradorite because it's so iridescent?
Labradorite and opal are completely unrelated.
Okay,
So when you're looking at an opal,
yeah.
you are looking at a reflective property.
Hmm.
So the colors in opal are actually on the surface and in the structure.
Oh, okay.
So that's actually pigmented instead of using a refractive
Oh, okay.
property. Refractive property, if you need a reference to something else, dragonfly wings, butterfly wings, When they're blue, that's not pigment. That's the refraction of light getting reflected off of something central to the wing. And that blue that you see, that's Bragg refraction.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Interesting.
All right, so if anyone is interested at this point, I have a setup over here with Labradorite that I can trade to you, that I can sell to you. Just don't tell anyone. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your patience.
Very good, very good.
All right.
Let's give a round of applause to the AI that made those slides.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone has any questions about using AI to make a presentation like this, you know, see me at any point in time. I'm more than happy to sit down and have you with
Are you
me.
taking questions, gentlemen?
Sure.
So when you fly over Labrador and look down, there's rock everywhere. It's exposed rock on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find Labradorite? Is it in a mine? You have to mine for it?
The first Labradorites were actually found on a mountaintop surface. So you don't have to go far. You know, yes, there are mines, but you could just find it laying around in Labrador.
So I don't know this to be true, but when I was at the Herkimer Diamond mines, there was a couple that claimed that they had just come from a Labradorite mine in maybe Vermont, New Hampshire at the lower end of it. Is that possible? Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of a location there, but I wouldn't discount it,
Okay.
because, I mean, Labradorite is just when you get those chemicals in a location that has quartz.
Okay. So.
And quartz is everywhere.
Right.
So if you get those chemicals in, if you get the sodium, if you get the calcium in with everything else, you're gonna have Labradorite. Anything else? I love
The
questions.
blue of the atmosphere, is that Raleigh scattering?
Yeah.
The blue of the ocean,
Yeah.
is that?
Well, that's a reflection from the atmosphere. And technically it's green.
Well, but I mean, you see blue, you know. and-
Oh, you see blue. Other people see green.
So what about-
There are certain peoples that won't see it as blue.
But so that blue isn't Bragg
No.
refraction?
And,
No, it's
and
not.
bluebirds,
Bluebirds,
would that be Bragg? Because
no, they're tinted. That's actually a pigment.
you, when you see a bluebird, they don't actually have blue wings, that's what's reflected off.
On a technicality, anytime you see any color, that's what's reflected off. That's the wavelength that's
Okay.
reflected off. That's the way light works. So
Okay.
when light hits something, that piece that it hits is going to absorb all the colors except the one that you see. That's how pigment works, because the pigment absorbs all the other colors. So that bluebirds are not Bragg refraction. That's just a
diagrams of how that works.
I mean, I can if you really want to know. I understand light a little too well sometimes. I studied it in theater.
So when you're scuba diving, you go down 10 feet, you have reds and yellows. You can see beautiful reds and yellows.
Mm-hmm.
But you go down to 60 feet, and you don't see reds and yellows anymore. They're just sort of dark brown, because I guess that light has been refracted out when you get down to that
Yeah,
level.
the layers of water are going to filter. And as there's more impurities in the water, it's going to filter more colors out.
Okay. And the reason, by the way, that a